David Bach wrote one of the most popular personal finance books of the last 25 years, The Automatic Millionaire. It spent 31 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, sold over 1 million copies, and the whole idea of the book is incredibly simple. And it's, you don't get rich by budgeting harder, you get rich by building a system that pays you first and does so automatically. And honestly, I think this idea is more relevant today than it was even when the book came out, because most people don't have a knowledge problem. Everybody knows that they should save more, and they know that they should invest. They know that they should build an emergency fund. But the problem is execution. The paycheck hits, bills come out, Amazon happens, groceries happen, dinner happens, and whatever's left over is supposed to become your future. But that's a broken system. So in this video, I'm going to show you his entire core system, why it works, and how you can automate it in just a few minutes. You can do it today using Sequence so that you can move your money before you have the chance to spend it. So here's the system most people are running right now. Income lands in their account, bills go out, subscriptions get pulled out, groceries you got to pay for, you got to fill the car with gas, got all the kids events, dinner, Target, Amazon, and then at the end of the month, if there's anything left, that becomes savings. In the book, David calls this paying yourself last, and that's the problem, because when you pay yourself last, your future is competing against every single other expense in your life. Your future is competing against convenience, your future is competing against forgetfulness, your future is competing against whatever happened that week. And that's a bad fight to put your financial future in. The US personal savings rate has recently been under 4%, an absolutely insanely low number. And I don't think that's because people are lazy or they don't care. I think it's because most people's system is designed backwards. They spend first and they save whatever survives and is left over. But Bach fixes it. You simply just need to flip it. You need to pay yourself first, and you need to do it automatically. So the framework has 3 big parts. The first is to pay yourself first. Bach's rule is that the first part of your income should go to you, not your bills, not your subscriptions, not your lifestyle. It needs to go to you and your future. He often talks about saving at least 10% of your income. And the most important part is not whether you start at 10, 12, or 15%. The important part is that the money moves before you can touch it. That's the whole game. So if you have a 401k, this is why it works so well. The money comes out of your paycheck before it ever hits your checking account. You don't need to decide every 2 weeks if you feel like investing. It just happens and it does so automatically. And if you're self-employed, or if you want to do this outside of your 401k, the same concept applies. The day that income lands, the money needs to move automatically into the account that builds your future. Not at the end of the month, not if you remember, not if things feel good, but it needs to move immediately. That's the difference between hoping that you save and becoming someone who saves automatically. The second piece is building a cash buffer. This part is not flashy, but it's what keeps the system from breaking, because without a buffer, one unexpected bill can ruin literally everything. A car repair, a medical bill, a slow month, or needing to replace the roof on the house. If you don't have a cash buffer, you either raid your savings, you stop investing, or you put it on your credit card, which makes it twice as worse. And then you feel like you're starting over again. So before you get too aggressive with investing or with other goals, build at least 1 month of expenses in a buffer account. If your core monthly expenses, like your mortgage, your car payments, your insurances, everything like that, are let's say $6,000, you first target $6,000 to have in that buffer account. Not because that solves everything forever, but because it gives you some breathing room. Then once that account is funded, you can redirect that same automatic transfer forward towards investing or to debt payoff or any other goal that you have. But the key is the buffer is not just savings. It's the thing that protects every other habit downstream. So the third piece that Bach talks about is the biweekly mortgage strategy. Here's the simple version. If you pay your mortgage monthly, you make 12 payments a year. If you pay your mortgage every 2 weeks, you end up making 26 half payments a year, which equals 13 full payments. That extra payment goes towards the principal if you set it up right and if your servicer applies it correctly. So on a $300,000 30-year mortgage at 7%, that kind of extra principal strategy can potentially cut years off the loan and save huge amounts of interest. But this part comes with a warning. Do not just send random extra payments and assume that they're being handled correctly. You need to call your mortgage servicer and ask, can I make biweekly payments? And will the extra payment go directly to principal? Are there any fees? Are there any prepayment penalties? You need to make sure you clarify these things. It's not just as easy as sending them more money. They'll always take more money from you, but you need to make sure it's being applied to principal and there aren't any other penalties that you might be subject to. For most people, this isn't too complicated, but you want to make sure that the extra money is actually reducing the principal, because that's what actually allows you to save money and not just being added to the interest that you'd be paying over the entire life of the loan. Now, here's where I think the book is still right, but the tools have changed. When Bach wrote Automatic Millionaire, automation existed, but it was really limited. Today, we can make this a lot cleaner. So let's say your household brings in $8,000 a month after taxes. Instead of having all $8,000 land in your checking and hoping you make good decisions, your income hits your sequence income source, which is just simply a checking account through a partner bank that allows us to automatically stream that money wherever we want to based on your rules. So it lands in that account and then it gets routed automatically. The map could look something like this: 10% to your long-term investing, which is $800 per month towards your future. $500 a month goes towards your buffer account until it reaches 1 month of expenses. Once that buffer is full, that $500 can be automatically redirected back into investing, or it could pay off debt, or maybe another savings goal or a vacation. Then a fixed amount goes to your bills, so things like mortgage, rent, utilities, insurance, and anything else that needs to be paid every single month. And then another fixed amount goes towards spending, like groceries, gas, dining out, family spending, normal life stuff. Because that way you can all of a sudden start to make sure that you're staying in your budget even easier. Not only are we setting money aside for our future and building a buffer, but we're also separating our fixed expenses versus kind of the fun things that we get to do in life. And that way we can spend freely without feeling guilty about potentially overspending. The main idea is simple. Your future gets paid first, your buffer gets built, your bills are protected, and then, only then, do you spend. That's the entire system. This works because it removes the weakest part of most financial plans, you. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, you're busy. You have work, family, stress, decisions, and 1,000 other things competing for your attention. A financial system that depends on you or I making the right decision every single Friday, that's a fragile system. But a financial system that moves money automatically, now that's durable, and that's why this idea has lasted. It's not about being perfect. It's not about loving spreadsheet. It's not about becoming obsessed with money. It's about setting up the right flows one time so that your normal life doesn't constantly sabotage your future. This is exactly the kind of system that Sequence was built for. Sequence is not trying to make you stare at another budget. It helps you move money. Income comes in, rules run, and money gets routed to the right place, whether that's savings, your buffer, your bills account, spending, investments, you name it. And when the map is set up correctly, you don't even have to keep asking, did I save enough? Can I afford this? Should I move money? Am I falling behind? The system gives every dollar a job automatically. And that's the real power that Bach was trying to teach. It's not discipline, it's not motivation, it's a system. In the book, his argument is about that building wealth is not a willpower problem, it's a systems problem. And I couldn't agree more with that. If you wait until the end of the month to save, you're making your future fight for what's left over. But if your money moves automatically, the day that you get paid, everything changes. So here's what I do. Pick your percentage, build your buffer account, check your mortgage payment options, and then automate the entire thing. You don't need to get it perfect. You just need to get it up and running. So if you want a copy of this exact same map that I walked through in this video, I put together a simple sequence map for you, and it's a guide that you can download below. It shows you the accounts to create, the rules to build, and the order to set everything up. Set it once, let it run. That's the whole point.